The ShotScope G5 is just like a go-kart. If you start with an F1 car and you strip it back to its core essentials, you end up with a go-kart. And you know what go-karts are, they're relatively cheap and they're fun, just like the ShotScope G5. Now I've shanked my way around the golf course several times, just like the average golfer that I am, to make sure I give this watch a true and honest test. When it comes to budget golf watches, the Garmin Approach S12 has long range supreme. And when you put the two side by side, well, actually, the G5 bears a striking resemblance, perhaps with a fair amount more personality. If a watch could be doing jazz hands, this one would be doing them constantly. Both use 4 buttons in the same layout for navigation and selection. Both have cases that are thin, lightweight, and, well, pretty plasticky, and both watches have this circular design that house a square memory in pixel display, albeit the G12 has a black and white display without a backlight, whereas the G5 has a color display that comes with a backlight. Don't get me wrong, this display is hardly impressive, but it is nice to have a splash of color. And talking of color, when you're buying the G5 watch from the ShotScope website, you actually build the version that you want. So you start by selecting whether you want a black or gray base case, and then you select 2 of the 12 different color straps for it. You can see here that I've got it in the blue and then the orange, because I thought, well, might as well go with a loud looking watch. Won't look like anything else that I've got. Now that's a pretty unique way to buy a watch. You don't have to go as bold as these colors that I've got here. You can choose to go for a more traditional black or gray strap. The watch straps are pretty thin silicone ones, but they are nice and easy to swap over. You can see here you just got a little catch, you pull that off, and it's off. The battery life of the G5 sounds impressive on paper, but actually I was a little bit disappointed when testing it in real world conditions. In my non-golf test, I charged the battery up to 100% on a Thursday morning, and then come Tuesday morning, the watch was dead with no battery life left. So for me, it lasted less than 5 days, and I only actually wore it once. If you compare that to the Garmin S12, I managed to get 30 days of non-golf battery life out of this watch. 30 days, 5 days. While actually playing golf, I charged the watch to 100%, I wore it for a couple of hours beforehand, and I played 18 holes of golf that lasted around 4.5 hours, and I wore it for a few hours afterwards as well. And the battery life went down to around 74%. So the fact that you should be able to get at least 2 rounds of golf out of this watch is still a good thing. A real positive of the G5 is actually using it out on the golf course. Because this is a budget golf watch, it is actually relatively simple and straightforward to use, and there's not many features to get in the way. The simple user interface with the 4 buttons works well and isn't particularly complex. Everyone should be able to pick up and use this watch pretty much straight away without reading the manual. All the essential information that you could want from a GPS watch is nice and easy to find and read. If you like essential information that's easy to understand, then you might want to consider subscribing to my channel. And if you're finding this video helpful, smash that like button. Thanks. Once you've locked onto a GPS signal and selected the course, chosen the tees that you want to play from, and selected whether or not you want to keep score on the watch, then you're presented with the main home screen. Now, this gives you front, middle, and back yardages, as well as a couple of other little bits of information, such as your current score if you're choosing to keep track on the watch. In the menu, you can select alternative layouts to this home screen, including a big numbers mode, which just gives you a very big font size showing you the middle of the green. You tap a single button once to unlock the watch, and then it's just one more tap to get to the yardages to the hazards on the hole. Now, a key feature here is that ShotScope actually provides you the yardages not only to the hazard, but also to carry the hazard. So that's a really great feature because not many golf watches actually provide that level of information. From this hazard screen, you can then tap a button on the right to get the layup yardages for the hole. And then if you tap it one more time, you can even get the yardages to any dog legs that's on that hole. Now you have the ability to track the distance of your last shot. And who doesn't love starting the tracking counter after you've hit a screaming drive, only to walk up to the ball and realize that you've only hit it 220 yards, 30 yards shorter than you thought. It's almost like new drivers don't even add any additional distance. I didn't have any issues with the accuracy of the watch out on the course, and I've seen ShotScope proactively make updates to my home course to implement new hole layout changes. So you're gonna wanna make sure you keep this watch up to date using the ShotScope app. When you get to the end of the hole, if you chose to keep score on the watch, then you'll be prompted to enter the number of strokes that you took on the hole, and that's it. It doesn't ask you to enter how many putts you took, how accurate your tee shot was, any penalties that you might have taken, your blood type, your mother's maiden name, or any other information that some of these more complex, expensive watches ask you to input. And that's because when you finish your round, the watch will promptly display you a overall score summary along with how long you actually took to play your round, and then it's gone. The watch deletes that information. There's no ability to transfer your scores onto the ShotScope app. So as well as battery life, that's another area that the Garmin S12 ranks above the G5, because with this watch, not only do you keep some core basic information in regards to your putting and your accuracy of your tee shot, you can then transfer that information to the Garmin app once you finish your round, and then you've got a central place to keep your scorecards as well as some core essential data on your golf. Now, I appreciate that here in the UK, all golfers with a handicap should be uploading all of their scores on the Golf England app, and I'm sure you're all doing that. But there will be tons of golfers without a handicap that won't be using that system. And so now they've got to re-enter their scorecard details somewhere else. It seems that ShotScope have embodied the acronym KISS with this watch. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS always confused me as an acronym. Why add an insult to the end? And as simple as the G5 is, by just providing the on-course essentials and nothing else, I can't help but feel that the lack of post-round connectivity is just a little bit stupid, given that they already have a system in place for their V3, X5, and H4 GPS units. When you do connect the watch via Bluetooth to the ShotScope app, you can update the firmware on the watch and you can upload any course updates to the watch. Although I've got to admit, that process has been a little bit buggy for me. Sometimes the courses have uploaded and updated themselves, not a problem whatsoever, and other times it just sits sitting at 0% and I just have to restart the app. From the app, you do get the ability to access an aerial view of all the courses in the ShotScope database. So you can either take a closer look at the holes before you play around, or actually when you're out on the course, you can even use your phone to get specific yardages to front, middle, and back, and any points on the hole as well while you're actually there. At around $150 or pounds, either in the US or the UK, the G5 seems that it's sitting at a pretty attractive price point. I've included any exclusive discount offers and links to buy this watch down in the description below as well, so hopefully you'll be able to pick it up for less than RRP. But there are alternatives worth considering. At around £160 in the UK or $200 in the US, the Garmin S12 does look a little bit plainer, but as I've explained, it also comes with additional features over the G5 that you may actually want. And even ShotScope's own V3 watch is worth considering too. In fact, have I got it here? Maybe. Yes, if you can find it in stock at only £160 here in the UK, you're getting essentially the same GPS basic golf features that you get with the G5, but you're also getting the added benefit of the 14 club tags that come in the box and the whole host of data that provides you with no annual subscription. Now, for a lot of golfers, well, they just don't need that extra information. They don't care about that extra information, and it's too much faff to actually get the data in a usable place. But for those that do want that data or might find that helpful, this is a valid option. So if you're still not sure which budget golf watch is the right one for you, then you should definitely check out this video right here where I compare the top 7 golf watches for under £200. Unfortunately, the G5 wasn't actually out at the time I filmed that video, or you can check out my full review of the Garmin Approach S12, which I've included right here.